bringing Gator Nation a different Gator Great every episode.
This is Jabari Gaffney. You're listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
Hey, I'm Earl Everett. You're not a Gator, you're Gator bait.
This is Bo Carroll.
Hey, I'm Rita Anthony.
This is Kewan Ratliff, and you are listening to All for the Gators podcast.
This is Cedric Faison, a.k.a. C4.
This is Brandon James.
This is Jack Jackson. Go Gators.
Hi, this is your boy Jeremy Mincy, a.k.a. Mr. Mintz, and we were the All for the Gators podcast.
This is Ben Trooper. You listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
Hey, guys, this is Jarvis Williams. Go Gators.
You rocking with Lito Sheppard, and we're All for the Gators podcast, man. Top notch.
This is Chris Doring, and you're listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
And now, your Gator alumni hosts, John, Andy, and Sid.
Oh, I can feel it, Sid. I can feel it, Sid.
You feeling it?
This is going to be a good one.
Is it? Oh, well, really? Is it because
Andy's not here?
That's
right, Andy's not here. He's in the Bahamas. That's so bitch.
Yeah. Wow. Oh,
that's okay.
Well, he might regret his plans because we do have a good show tonight. I know you get particularly excited when we have Gators who played for a particular NFL franchise that you grew up cheering for. So I know this episode checks a few boxes for you. So I'm excited for you, my friend.
I wore Dolphins jerseys in Pro Player Stadium or Joe Robbie or whatever it was called back then, and watched him play.
Yeah, a Gator from your favorite team.
Good times, man. And as long as we've been doing this podcast, there are several players that I check in with every few months, just hoping, I get their attention, and they're like, that they'll come and do the show. And finally, hooked the big one. Hook the big one, Sid.
Now listen, I can tell you're excited. You're going to need to be professional here. You can't be all fanboying out. We got a reputation. This is a certain caliber of show that we put on here.
Tighten it up.
Let's put our game faces on. John, are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right.
Guys, today's Gator Great was simply one of the greatest to ever roam the secondary in the swamp. And, I've been saying that a lot this month. Our guest last episode was Fred Weary. We got some guys lined up. But tonight, the man's out of Belglade, Florida. Muck City, he was one of those first pillars that built DBU. And he went from walk-on to team captain. This man tattooed receivers, tight ends, running backs. It didn't matter who had the ball. He'd go on to be drafted in the first round by my Dolphins and become an NFL All-Pro. And man, I've been hounding him since day one of this podcast, and we finally got him tonight, fellas. I present to you two-time first-team All-SEC, the first Gator DB to be named first-team All-American 2 times. His 11 interceptions ranked 7th on the UF all-time list. The Gainesville Sun ranked him 24th out of the top 100 greatest Gators of the first 100 years of Florida football. UF Athletics Hall of Famer with number 18 on his chest in the orange and blue. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hitman, Lewis Oliver.
All right.
What's up, John? What's up, Sid?
Oh,
How you
man.
guys doing?
Oh, we're thrilled to have you. Yes. How was that intro? Did he miss anything? Anything he left out?
Yeah, well, he left my all-academic SEC out a couple years in a row. He left that part out. But
all right.
Other than that, he did a hell of a job.
We'll get to that later. So cool to have you on with us today, man. I went and listened to some interviews you've done, and I didn't hear about your nickname. How and when did you get christened the Hitman?
That happened when I got here with the Dolphins. Probably like my second year in the league, Jarvis Williams, who was also a Gator Great, one of the best DBs I think in Florida history. He preceded me here with the Dolphins by a year. He came in '88, I came in '89. So when I got here, the way we were tattooing opponents, they called us the B2 Bombers, and everything kind of stuck from that point on.
That's right.
So, hard-hitting safety from your era. Who were some of your influences growing up? Obviously, we all remember Ronnie Lott, in my opinion, the best safety ever. Who else did you like?
Ronnie Lott, Jack Tatum, Kenny Easley, David Fulcher. Those were the guys that I looked up to that were playing at the time, and Joey Brown and guys like that. Some real hitters, some real playmakers.
Speaking of playmakers, a lot of them coming out of Muck City there in Belglade, Florida.
Very true.
What's in the water down there, man?
It's a small town of about maybe 10, 12,000 people. It's not a whole lot to do, not a lot of lifestyle amenities. You don't have a movie theater. You don't have a mall. So, for me, growing up there, all I had was just school, And when I come home, I was in the football, basketball, baseball, track. So, you get there and the guys, there's a lot of football there, a ton of athletes in there. So, a lot of track, a lot of football. That's what we're known for, besides the sugar cane and the fishing.
That's right. We've had a bunch of guests from down there. Riedel.
Yeah.
A lot of Gators come out of there.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was telling guys the other day, last week, they were talking about what city or what town in the U.S. put a lot of guys in the NFL. I was like, you guys don't have Belgrade on there. And I know Belgrade's in the top 5.
That's sure. Right. So let's talk about you getting to UF. You actually walk on at UF after graduating. Were you recruited by other schools? Was UF always where you were going to end up?
Well, I got a lot of Ivy League offers, but I just felt like, I was playing against some of the top guys in the United States in high school football, and if I could play with those guys, and we had a lot of those guys on my high school football team, Rondy Weston, who was Gatorade Player of the Year in football and basketball, John Ford, Willie Snead, Tim Sims, who went to the University of Miami. I practiced and played against those guys every day, and I just felt like, man, if I can play against these guys who are some of the best in the state as well as the country, I can play anywhere. So being that I had a partial academic scholarship, I walked on at the University of Florida. From that point, it was pretty much history.
Let's talk about when you get to Gainesville. This is like when the Gators were under sanctions,
yes.
And you walked on, as you shared. So what was it like as you showed up? Did you have a clear path to playing time? Is that how you chose that? And how were they recruiting when you didn't have that carrot of the postseason when they were under sanctions?
Now I get there in '84, summer of '84, and I told Ronnie Weston said, hey Holmes, if you're gonna come out for the team, they got tryouts in the stadium. So I go there, tell the people I'm going to try out for the team. They give me equipment, give me a locker, and I go out there on the field. And I see the guys that they had brought in on scholarship and some of the guys who are already on the team on scholarship. And I see these guys from Tampa and from Georgia and Titusville and Pensacola. And I'm like, is this what they got as defensive backs? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to run roughshod over this shit. So we're out there on the field, and Coach Xavier Uralian, who was our defensive back coach at the time, he calls me off of the field, and he calls me up in the stadium since he's watching us do passing drills on the field, and he said, hey, where did we recruit you from? And I say, recruitment? I said, you guys didn't recruit me. He said, well, how did that happen? And my exact words was, that's what the fuck I want to know. How did that not happen?
Well, I heard a story about your orientation going around the room. They went around the room and they call on Louis Oliver. What does Louis Oliver say in orientation?
Okay, John. So we do orientation after the second day of practice. So we get the whole team is there, the coaching staff, the training people, and everybody's there. So they're introducing every player, what position you're from, where you're from, what position you play, where you're from, and 1 or 2 words about you. And everybody's getting up there saying who they are, where they're from, their accolades. I get up there and I say, hey, my name's Louis Oliver, and I'm from Belgrade, Florida. I play safety, and won't none of you motherfuckers play as long as I'm here. And I walk off the
stage. Mic drop.
and I get to my seat. And Rondy Weston comes up and he said, yo, homeboy, how the hell are you going to say that? And you're not even on scholarship. I said, I'm not on scholarship yet.
Wow.
And that started my motivation and aspirations to just outwork and outplay anybody at that safety position.
You do this, you get redshirted that first season, but Coach Galen Hall had you with the second team defense. I'm sure you weren't thrilled about getting more playing time. Do you have a conversation with that? Anything you remember in particular about asking for some more playing time? Clearly, you weren't shy.
I don't know if he was asking.
Well, 84, we played Miami. We played LSU. So I dress and I'm on the team, and they hadn't redshirt me at that point. So after the Tennessee game, we played Miami, we played Tennessee, and right after that game, Coach Hall says, look, we're going to redshirt you so you can have 4 more years of eligibility. I said, okay. Being that I'm not going to play, I'm not going to go to any football games. So when Saturdays we had home game, when we would have games home or away, I would be out on the O'Connell Center, running on the track, running hills, running stadiums. I was like, look, since I'm not playing, why am I going to go watch some guys that I know I can play better than, but they're playing, but I just happen to be redshirted. I'm just going to go hone my body, hone my mind. So when they give me this scholarship, I'm going to go batshit crazy.
You put in the work.
I love that attitude. Right. Yeah. You knew what you were doing.
So we know that you and Jarvis, who you mentioned, patrolled that defensive backfield in the swamp for a few years and later reconnect on the Dolphins. Can you tell us about maybe the first time meeting Jarvis and how your friendship came about?
Like I said, when I got there, you kind of know who's who, because you just know. At running back there was Lorenzo Hampton, John L. Williams, Neil Anderson.
Oh yeah.
At quarterback you had Kerwin Bell. At receiver you had Natil, Ray McDonald, Frankie Neal. On defense you had Alonzo Johnson, Pat Miller. You had these players. So then everybody was talking about this freshman cornerback from Palatka, Florida, Jarvis Williams. And when I first saw Jarvis, I didn't think that this guy could play ball because he had no muscle tone. I was like, this guy doesn't have one muscle in his body. But boy, don't let that fool you. This guy will knock the fucking engine out of a diesel truck. I mean, when I saw this guy, when we got him passed and I saw the way he played, I was like, okay, no wonder they were hyping this guy up. This guy can really play. And then, my junior year, Jarvis got moved from cornerback to safety. So Jarvis played strong safety. I played free safety. And we became just like super close at that point. And then when he got here with the Dolphins, he got drafted in the second round in the draft. He comes here. And Jarvis told me after my last season at Florida, he said, look, Lewis, I've been talking to my coach. My coach has been asking a lot about you. I think they're going to try to draft you in the draft coming up. And I didn't think much of it, and sure as shit, they drafted me.
So you knew. He gave you the heads up. You knew.
Yeah, he knew. I mean, he knew. I didn't know because draft day, as soon as the 25th pick is on the clock, I get a call from Coach Walsh from the 49ers. He said, look, Lewis, we just won the Super Bowl. With the last pick in the first round, we're going to pick you. Would you like to become a 49er? Ooh. I was like, hell yeah, Coach. I done already slipped through this part of the first round. So the Dolphins get on the clock. Shula calls. The minute I hang up with Coach Bill Walsh, Coach Shula calls and said, hey, Lewis, we're getting ready to pick. Would you like to play with the Dolphins? I say, Coach, pick me now. Fidel comes on, makes the announcement. I hang up. I'm with my family and my agent. I hang up. Coach Walsh calls back and say, hey, what the fuck happened? I said, you got to call Coach Shula, Coach.
Oh, man.
I love how you just casually name drop 2 Hall of Fame coaches with 5 collective Super Bowl rings in their fingers there. So that's pretty boss of you. Very nice.
Feel? I mean, for a split second there, you might have been in the secondary with Ronnie Lott, right?
Oh, man.
Yeah?
Was that going through your head?
Of course it was.
Yeah.
They called. Yeah.
Covering Jerry Rice in practice.
Oh, dude, man, I was thinking, boy, that would be fantastic. But then Miami called and man, to play with Jarvis and play with Lorenzo Hampton, who was also first round here, running back from Florida.
That's right.
That was fantastic. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about one of your other teammates from actually both the Gators and the Dolphins, Trace Armstrong.
Friend of the show.
Yeah. We had him on the show, and he mentioned that you were his neighbor at one point. And he mentioned that you had a lot of through traffic. I guess he's talking about the ladies. So I guess you were cleaning up at UF. You had a good time?
They wouldn't leave me alone. People kept bothering me.
A nice, quiet guy like you. How'd that ever happen, right?
Yeah, I minded my business, I swear. Yeah. I was all about books. I mean, when I was there, I told people, I said, look, I want to graduate early. I'm going to get my degree in criminology early so I can have options. If football doesn't work out, I was going to go to the FBI at that time. But since my uncle was a director in the FBI, I was just going to go into I got my criminology degree.
Okay.
And but all I would do was study and and go to class. But between studying and going to class, people would bother me.
Well, getting back on the field, you did plenty of bothering there in '85. You guys go 9-1-1.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Good turnaround there. You mentioned a lot of the stellar players on defense that were there with you. Do you remember, like, before the season, recognizing, knowing that you guys were about to take off? Was there something like you saw in the practice or you felt, or did it kind of just come together organically?
No, you knew. I mean, look at that offensive line we had in '84. I mean, we had the Great Wall, Lomas Brown, Zimmerman, Big Daddy, Crawford Kerr, Bromley, man. We had guys that could have rivaled the best NFL offensive line. And then we had running backs, Lorenzo Hampton, first round, John L. Williams, first round, Neil Anderson, first round. Ricky Nattil, first round. Frankie Neal, third round to Green Bay. Ray McDonald goes to Denver and Dallas. I mean, we had talent, man.
Well, you adjusted pretty well, pretty much dominating the SEC. Tons of tackles, pass deflections. I said in the intro you ended up 7th on the UF all-time list in interceptions. Any one of those stick out to you in your mind?
Wow.
Any one more special than the other?
No. I mean, like I came up in the day, like if you watch football from back in those times, stopping the run was just as important as stopping the pass.
Sure.
Today it's more wide open. It's 80% passing versus 20% run. I wish we'd have played. I wish they'd have thrown the ball more, so I would have had more opportunities to put my hands on the ball. But my mindset was, either I'm a bust up a body or I'm a bust up the ball. So you take your pick.
You did plenty of that.
So in '87, the accolades start rolling in. First team All-SEC, first team All-American. Yeah. At that point, are you starting to get serious about thinking about the NFL?
Oh yeah, I mean, as soon as my redshirt freshman year was over, I kind of felt like I had guys who would go off into the league. Lorenzo, Neal, they would come back and say, hey Lewis, the Bears are watching. The Bears are asking me about you. Lorenzo would come back and say, hey, the Dolphins are talking about you. They mention you, yada, yada, yada. I would get things like that. So that just really just reinforced me to just keep pushing and keep working and just, sharpening my craft.
Well, sharpen your craft you did. Go on now to '88. Once again, first team All-SEC. And now you're also a consensus All-American and the first Gator DB to be first team All-American twice. That's pretty amazing. You're also a team captain, finalist for the Jim Thorpe Award, even a second SEC academic honor roll. We didn't forget that. See, we did not forget that.
Right.
As this was coming together, did you have like a vision board? Was this like personal goals and you just went down and checked every single one? Like that is an impressive list of accolades.
Shit, I wasn't thinking about racking up accolades. All I was trying to do was just be the best player that I could possibly be at that point. And, I would read magazines, Sports Illustrated, USA Today, all the football mags, and I would see them talking about certain guys. I remember reading about one safety from Texas A&M and his workout, and they said he did like 20 individual 100-yard sprints under 18 seconds with like 45 seconds rest. And I was like, oh, yeah? Is that what he's doing? I was like, fuck that. Well, then I'm going to go do 40. So I do 40 sprints under 16 seconds with 30 seconds rest.
Ugh. Challenge accepted. Yikes.
So Sid mentioned you were a finalist for the Thorpe Award in '88.
Dion
won it. And it was you, Dion, and Atwater. So here's a big question. Who was a harder hitter, Atwater or Lewis Oliver?
No, I think I was. I mean, I'm sure Steve would probably have something to say about that, but he's a great friend of mine, Hall of Fame safety with the Broncos, fantastic player, super nice guy, and we keep in touch until this day.
I actually remember an awesome highlight of his where he takes out the Nigerian Nightmare. It was like one of the best hits ever.
Yeah.
Like that. Like Okoye didn't go backwards frequently, but he did on that one.
When I saw that a year later, we had the Chiefs on the, and I destroyed his ass here in Dolphin Stadium. But boy, I really put him on the ground on his back.
Did you feel that too?
No, I tell you, the hardest hit I've ever felt was hitting Bo Jackson.
Ooh, I believe that.
Is it because he was so fast?
No, the dude,
it was just bigger impact.
He concaved my right shoulder pad.
Oh,
like my pad dipped down. I hit him so hard. I hit his helmet on my right shoulder pad, and it pushed my entire shoulder pad down into my shoulder to where I couldn't feel my right side.
Was that in the pros or in college?
No, this was when he was with the Raiders. We played him home here, and I hit him, and man, he went out because he told me after the game, he was like, "Hey, Oliver, you fucked up my neck." I was like, "Look, dude, my whole right side is numb right now."
Hey, Bo, I'm 2 inches shorter now. So before we go on, did you have any competition at UF? Were there any receivers that gave you any fits?
Like when I played, like I said, it was more so running backs. Receivers, I mean, you had Lawyer Tillman from Auburn. He was fantastic. Florida State kept some receivers. Michael Irvin gave us fits. He gave us fits. He gave our corner fits when we played UM. But those guys were really good.
Sure.
But the running backs, Tim Worley and Henderson and Dalton Hilliard from LSU, and those were the guys that really had your body sore after the game.
Not Melvin Bratton, right? You laid it to him, didn't you?
Bratton too. Bratton was a phenomenal player. I mean, he was great. He was great.
Sure.
He talked a lot of shit, but he could back it up.
Didn't you have a huge hit on him?
That was Jarvis. No,
that was Jarvis.
Jarvis knocked him out. Yeah,
Jarvis that's what it was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Amazing hit.
Well, let's talk about when you get inducted into the UF Hall of Fame. We've had a few of your fellow Hall of Fame classmates on the show before. Do you remember where you were? Who gave you the call? Is it something you knew that was coming, or was this a bit of a surprise?
I mean, I didn't think about it. I get a call. I couldn't even tell you how many years ago this was. They called me and said, "Hey, Lewis, we're going to induct you into the University of Florida Hall of Fame, yada, yada, yada." I'm like, "Oh, man, thank you. Fantastic. I really appreciate it." And then they flew me up there and then did all the razzle-dazzle stuff. And I thought it was great. It was just great to get back and, see some of the people that I had met while I was at UF and then see the team at that time. But it was a fantastic experience for sure.
So in 2006, the Gainesville Sun put together a big list, fan vote, I believe, to celebrate the first 100 years of Gator football.
Yeah.
They selected the top 100 Gator players ever. And you came in 24th out of every Gator to play in the first 100 years.
That's amazing.
How special is that to you to be acknowledged by the fans, by Gator Nation? I mean, out of the thousands of players that have played, to be ranked 24th.
I mean, I'm very appreciative, very honored. But when I played, man, I played just to give the fans the money's worth. I mean, if you came you were in that stadium, and you were cheering and you was rooting for us, man, I'm trying my damnness to give you every ounce of energy that I could put out in a game. And that was just it for me for every game, whether it was with, from high school to college to professional. I wanted to be appreciated, but to be appreciated, you got to do something. So my thought was, look, I'm going to do something every game and that's where the Lou started. When I would make a big play or make a big hit or interception, the fans would start screaming, "Lou!" It sounded like "boo," but they was just calling Lewis.
I have a question. As a Jet fan, I could tell you what I have. I appreciate that. But Dan Marino, utmost respect, in my opinion, greatest quarterback, never win a championship. I have to ask what it's like all that time in practice playing against him, the things you're able to see, as opposed to, I mean, you were playing in like the golden age of quarterbacks against Montana, against Jim Kelly, Elway.
Yes.
So obviously, I'm sure you're partial to Marino sharing a locker with him, but what can you tell us from a defensive perspective that made Marino so much more special? I mean, obviously, we know it wasn't his quickness with running, but what's it like to see him just zip the ball around like that?
No, I never would forget when I first got here. Right after draft day, the next day I fly into camp to fly into Miami. I walk into the locker room, into the equipment room, and I'm trying on a helmet, and in comes Dan, And he was like, "Hey man, hey Lou, welcome to the Dolphins. We love to have you, man. I'm excited to see what you could do. But I just want to let you know one thing." I was like, "What's up, Danny?" He said, "There's only one fucking superstar on that team when you're looking at it."
I love it. He did not lack confidence.
And he said that, and man, we bursted out in the laughter. But when I got on that field, the way this guy could throw, I mean, like you mentioned some great quarterbacks. You mentioned Montana, Steve Young, Kelly, Boomer Esiason. All of those guys were great. They couldn't throw the ball like Danny.
Nope.
Danny would anticipate a receiver going a certain position, and you can be right on him. And I swear to God, it'd be millimeters from your fingertips, and you couldn't touch it. This guy his passes were so precise and so on point, and the ball never wobbled. It never wobbled. And man, watching him throw to Duper and Clayton and our receivers, man, this dude was special. He really got me better going against him in practice every day.
Oh, sure.
He sharpened my skill set tremendously.
Did you go against Duper and Clayton in practices?
Oh yeah, we would go. When you see those guys, I mean, I was in college, and every Wednesday night before I'd be watching Miami Vice, or Thursday night before the Monday night, before Thursday night football would come on, we watch Miami Vice, and you see Duper and Clayton, or I see a game, I see Duper and Clayton, and when I get to camp, I didn't know Duper was that fast. Mark Clayton could probably jump over the length of a swimming pool. This dude was so athletic. Just to see those guys and the way they practice, it was something incredible. It was an eye opener. It was really an eye opener. Those guys were super, man. And when the games hit, man, they were clicking like crazy.
To their credit, when they got older, Irving Fryer was pretty darn good too.
Irving Fryer, yes. Oh yes. Yes.
When I was young in South Florida, Duper was my favorite. I had his posters up. Yeah. I had his jersey.
Super duper.
And I heard your episode of The Fish Tank, which is the Dolphins podcast.
Yes.
And man, you told some stories on that show. Man, you got to give us a Duper story on this show.
John, see it. I wish we had cell phones. I kind of wish we didn't. I'm glad we didn't have the technology we
you
got.
You changed your tune pretty quick when you thought about it.
We'd be in so much trouble right now. We've been in so much trouble right now. But man, when I tell you, oh my, Duper, I got some Duper stories that I'm not gonna tell. but here's what I will tell you. Duper, when I got here in the 88, 89, Duper was already making $1 million a year. And you know what his wardrobe consisted of?
What?
50 pair of the same identical pair of white pants.
All the same white pants?
I mean, he wore white slacks every day. To every game, to every talk show. I was like, dude, do you have another color in your closet? He had a suit maker come to camp with his clothes, so they bring all these bags in. I'm like, damn, let me ask Dupe. Hey, Dupe, let me see what you got. He opened his bags, 50 pair of white slacks.
Oh, man.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So, Louis Oliver, you got drafted by the Dolphins. You played for them for, 7 years? And you had 1 year with the Bengals, I think.
Yes.
NFL All-Pro, Louis Oliver. But let's talk about that game against Buffalo. We talked about some great quarterbacks you played against.
Yeah.
One of them certainly former Hurricane, Jim Kelly.
Hall of Famer.
For Buffalo. And I think you picked off 3 in one game. Is that right? And you had a nice return on one of them?
Long one.
Oh, yeah. Kelly, he enjoyed throwing me the ball. I thought I was playing with Buffalo. He must have thought I was one of their receivers. But no, I woke up that day. October 4th, 1992. I wake up that morning, and we go to meetings. And Coach Mel Phillips, who was my coach, greatest coach I've ever, outside of Coach Shula I've ever had. I wake up that morning, and he said, "Louis, how you feel?" I say, "Coach," I say, "last night I dreamt I had 3 interceptions," and he said to me, he said, "Louis, we're gonna need every fucking one of those interceptions you dreamt of." Okay, fast forward, game time. First quarter, I get my first interception. Get to the third quarter. They're driving down on our 8-yard line, a 20-play drive, and prior to that interception for a 103-yard touchdown, they ran the same formation that they had run a year before, and I intercepted the ball on our sideline. They ran the same formation, the same short motion with the back coming out, and I picked it off. But they flipped the formation to their side of the field in 92, and I told Jarvis, I said, Jarvis, I said, I know we're close to the end zone. I said, if this motherfucker goes to trip formation, I'm gonna make a beeline for number one, and I'm going up the end zone. I'm going up the sideline, and sure as hell, soon as they snap the ball, I see the short motion. I just start running at James Lofton, where I knew he was gonna run the slant, and I grabbed it and I went down picked it and went for 103, and then come back about 8 or 9 plays later. He threw me another interception. I took that about 77 yards, and at that point I was tired of shit. I just dropped on the ground.
Yeah. Running those laps in the O'Connell Center helped you out there. All those yards, huh? Yeah. Paid off.
Did Jim say anything to you after the game? After that game?
No. I mean, every time I would see Kelly, I'd be like, "How many you gonna give me today? How many you gonna give me?"
Those were fun games.
Yeah, my mom took me to one of the AFC Championship games. I want to say 92. And we bought the shirts that said Buffalo Sucks, Dolphin colors. I think we came up short in the AFC Championship game, but man, what an experience. But I was there watching you with my mom, who just happened to pass about a year ago.
Oh, sorry.
And I was thinking about, I appreciate it. When you were coming on, I was thinking about that. I didn't have it in my interview sheet, but I remembered going there and wearing and I tried to wear that shirt to school. My teacher made me turn it inside out. But I was there. Whatever, pro player, whatever, Joe Robbie, whatever they called it back then.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we were leading in the AFC Championship. We were leading at halftime.
Yeah.
And we came out and then scored another damn point.
Yeah.
Home field, we win that game, we go to the Super Bowl.
Their defense was really good. Bruce Smith, Cornelius Bennett, Darryl Talley. That was
Odom, man, they had some players.
For real, they definitely did.
Yeah.
So, as one of the most feared and physical DBs in college and the pros that we've ever seen, what do you think of the new tackling rule changes that they're doing? The latest being the outlawing of the hip drop tackle. You can't do the horse collar tackle anymore. I mean, are you a fan of all these changes for player safety? Does it take integrity away of playing physical defense?
John, we play a gladiator sport. There's no way to make that game safe. Pretty soon you guys will be watching Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night flag football. Yeah. That's what it's going to come to.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to come to. Like, for me, it would be hard to play. I mean, with my mindset is either I'm getting the ball, like I said, either I'm going to bust the ball or I'm going to bust your body. That's all I'm going for, either the ball or your body. And the way they got it now.
I mean, you almost have to stop before you make a tackle and think about your angle, where,
No, I wouldn't be thinking about any of that.
It's really hard when they're low to the ground.
I would tell whoever drafted me, look, you're going to have to pay a whole lot of fucking fine. So get ready.
How did your body hold up? You played 7 years in the NFL. You getting around okay these days?
8 years in the NFL.
8 years.
That's why I chose to play defense, Sid. When you're on defense, you know how you're going to tackle somebody. You know where you're going to hit them, how hard you're going to hit them. When you're the offensive player, you running the ball, you spin around, you don't know where a guy's going to hit you low, hit you in the back of your neck, in the middle of your back, your knees. You don't know any of that. So for me, I was like, look, I want to know who I'm hitting and how I'm going to hit them, so I'm going to play defense. But that was my mentality from high school. Tommy Duhart, who came out of Glade Central High School, was also at University of Florida. He preceded us by a year. I was a starting quarterback in high school my 11th grade year. We were in practice. First team defense against first team offense. He beat the center and body slammed me.
Oh!
And I got up and I told my coach, I said, I'm a defensive back now.
I'm going defense.
I'm a defensive back now. I'm no longer the quarterback. I'm a defensive back.
The rest is history.
That was it. Like, I want to know how I'm going to hit you how hard I'm going to hit you. I want to be. I don't want to be at the mercy of somebody else. So no, that's why I chose defense.
You know, you have a lifetime of memories from your Gator football days, your pro days.
Yes.
You know, it's a Gator podcast. What would you say you're most proud of in your time in the orange and blue?
The friendships. I mean, there were so many friendships. I mean, you get so you're around the guys so much that it's like they become like instantly your family. Like, and you're on a team of 60, 70 guys, but you're with them every day in the locker room. You're with them at practice. You're with them in workouts. You're with them at the study hall. You're with them at the dining hall. And those memories, just the laugh, the fun, the yucks, man, all of that shit, you can't relive that. And I just wish we had cameras at that time to record all this stuff so we can look back on it and laugh all over again and cry all over again and just have fun all over again.
And when you went to Miami, it was sort of a little Gator party there. You had a lot of Gator teammates, right? You had Lorenzo Hampton, you had Jarvis.
Oh, yeah.
Was Nat Moore there?
Oh,
Nat
yeah.
Moore was there when you were there?
Nat was here. Nat was part of the organization. So no, and then on top of that, Tracy Armstrong came to here too.
Tracy Armstrong, sure.
So do you guys, you know, do Gator parties or?
Man, we hang out. We were always together. Lorenzo, I mean, the thing about athletes like, we like fun. We like jokes. Like, comedy is like the biggest. Oh, it's the biggest relief. And those locker room antics, those practice antics, man, that type of stuff, it's priceless. I mean, just the memories that I have, man. And when we get together with guys, man, we just talk so much shit. And we talk about all the fun times and all the stupid stuff. I mean, everybody knows about the game, you know, stats and stuff, but all the stupid fun stuff. That's what living is about. That's what living is about.
Do you see those guys often? Like, out of all those groups of guys, like, who do you see the most?
I see the most. I see Lorenzo. I see Lorenzo a lot. Yeah, Lorenzo Hampton. Yeah.
Okay. If you would tell him you had a great time on this podcast, because I can't get a hold of him.
Okay.
And he's another one of my favorites from when I was a kid. You know, I had you guys football cards and everything.
That dude could run,
yeah,
man. I'll tell you what, my very first day at the University of Florida, we had to run around campus. We had to do this run around campus. Linemen, defensive, all skill positions. And my very first day around campus, running up and down those hills, I was so far behind some of those big linemen. I never would forget Coach Tootin, who was the strength coach at that time. I was running up that hill, coming around by the O'Connell Center, and his exact words to me were, "Son, you're not going to make this team."
Shows what he knows.
No. I mean, because I wasn't a distance runner, and that was like a 3-mile run, and guys like Frankie Neal, Lorenzo Hampton, Gary Rowe, B. Lane, Brett Wickman, these guys could run distance like they were fucking quarter horses. I mean, these guys could really run. So I was behind most of the linemen. I'm talking to guys who were 300 pounds. So when the coach saw me, he was like, "Son, what position you?" Tootin said, "What position you play, son?" I said, "Defensive back." He said, "You're not going to make this team."
No.
And that scared the shit out of me. That scared the hell out of me.
And then the Dolphins sort of had the same kind of setup, right, with long distance running. Is that right?
The 12-minute run. Yeah, that was no. I never will forget when I get here. I get drafted with Sammy Smith from Florida State University.
Oh yeah.
Sammy had the worst practice habits of any player I know.
Unfortunately, that translated to the goal line too. I remember that.
But man, we had to run the 12-minute run, and he was battling last place with our kicker Pete Stoyanovich.
Oh man!
Wow!
And Pete was about to pass him, and Sammy just elbowed the guy in his stomach, and he threw up, and he didn't make the
That's the kind of thing they teach you in Tallahassee. You hear that? Oh my God!
Oh my God! That guy never wanted to practice. He would go outside and look up and say, "Man, it's hot out here, man." He said it's too hot. He would say like it's too hot to practice today, and he'd go right in and lay on the equipment, go in the training room, and sleep the whole practice.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God. I'm sure Coach Shula must have loved that work ethic. Yikes. Yeah.
I was like, yo. I mean, I wouldn't even attempt to do that. For me, I just love working. I love just getting it in. I like competition. So, but he was funny. He was lazy. But if he had really utilized his talents, he could have been a phenomenal player, professionally for sure. Yeah.
Sid, you mentioned Shula, so I don't want to glaze over that.
Greatest coach of all time. Greatest coach of all time.
Tell us about playing for Coach Shula for so long and his impact on you.
Yes, please.
Coach Shula knew every position. He knew where you were supposed to be at all times. But I never knew a person could know everything about everything. This dude was like your dad, your granddad, your best teacher in any grade in school. And then on top of that, he was like your best friend too. But at the same time, he demanded so much from you that it put either it was going to push you to exceed and try to excel, or it was just going to destroy you. And he was only looking for getting the best out of you. And if you wasn't really ready to work and put it in, you wasn't going to be here long. And he'd tell you that in a second, But he was the greatest coach. He was, oh my God, this dude had so much respect. It's crazy. It was crazy. It was ridiculous. He was phenomenal. The story.
Give us a Shula story. Come on.
I would tell some of the stories, but
yes, please tell us something.
No, because they're all jokes. I mean, like Marino would tell jokes about Shula. Clayton would tell jokes about Shula. The coaches would tell jokes about Shula, and these were some of the most profane-laden stories you ever wanted to hear. But your stomach would rip open from laughter. I mean, this guy was. I can tell you one thing. He didn't use deodorant. I know that for a fact.
That's funny. All right, so let's talk about a little bit about life after football. Understand you were involved in the club promotion scene here in South Florida. Tell us a little about that. And is there anything out there for friends of the All for the Gators podcast who are hearing about any opportunities for them to come see one of your shows or something like that?
Hey, man, when I got here, I don't know what happened because I was like an introvert in college. I get here and I was still kind of introverted, but I still like, I like going to, I love food. I consider myself a foodie. And then I meet this Italian guy who owns this restaurant on South Beach. He got me into wine, so I get into wine. And then when I'm here, I don't have I didn't have any like entertainment outlets for myself. I mean, there were things to do, but nothing that I like to do. So I kind of created my own parties, by bringing in celebrities from sports and entertainment. And that took off, and that's still with me until this day.
And you started doing that before you retired, is that right?
I started doing this in 91.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 years after I got here. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you did it for a long time while you were in the NFL.
Yeah.
Sort of a side hustle.
It was more fun. It was very profitable.
Sounds fun.
But it was more fun for me, and it kept a lot of people bothering me.
We usually end the show in a bit, and we're going to do a Mount Rushmore. You're actually going to do a Mount Rushmore.
Yes.
So since we have the Hitman on, we're going to do a Mount Rushmore of the hardest hitting Florida Gator defensive backs.
Ooh.
Lawrence Wright.
That's tough to narrow. Okay.
Lawrence Wright.
Good start.
Oh, L-Dog.
I got to put Lawrence Wright in there. I got to put
Joey Kentwood too.
No. I got to put the Major Wright.
Definitely.
Major Wright. Got to put Major in there.
Sure.
Got to put Major in there. Jarvis. Got to put Jarvis in there.
Very nice.
Ahmad Black. I like him.
Also
I like Reggie.
Good. Yeah.
I love Reggie.
Reggie Nelson.
I love Reggie.
Keanu Neal.
Another good one.
Didn't really watch too many games with O'Neal. I mean, but I really watched Reggie. I watched Lawrence Wright, Major, those guys. Um,
But you can only have 4.
Yeah,
it's a Mount
I was
Rushmore.
going to say we're branching out across the Dakotas here. Too many.
I'm going to tell you what. It's very easy to hit a defenseless receiver really hard because he's not paying attention to you. He's watching the ball, so you can really lay him out. When I say hit hard, I don't mean you just hit fucking receivers hard. You hit everything hard. Jarvis was that type of. He hit everything hard. Running back, fullback, tight end, offensive lineman. He hit everything hard. I hit everything hard.
Yeah.
And that was the difference. I mean, now if you hit a receiver, you know, people say, oh, he's a big hitter. You hit a defenseless guy, a guy who didn't even see you coming. But have Tim Worley or have Sammy Smith or Bo Jackson coming at you weighing 225 pounds, running a 4.3. Let's see what the fuck you gonna do.
Exactly.
All good points.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
You know, you want to see who wants that smoke. I want all that smoke. I want all of that smoke.
All right, so you're putting Jarvis on there.
Of course.
You're putting yourself on there.
Of course.
Now you got 2 more. You got to pick 2 more.
Okay.
Trim it, 2 more.
I'm going to go with the Wright brothers.
All right.
Lawrence and Major.
Yes, sir.
All right. Major Wright, Lawrence Wright, Lewis Oliver, and Jarvis Williams. Hardest hitting.
Yes, sir.
Damn good safeties.
Florida Gator defensive backs, according to the hitman himself, Lewis Oliver. Sir, an honor and a pleasure. True Gator legend. Thank you so much for doing our show. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
John, I thank you guys. Hey, I want to give one shout out to my guy. He didn't play football. He played basketball. I don't know if he listened to you guys. My guy, Vernon Maxwell, Mad Max. What's up, B Max?
Mad Max.
What's up, B Max? Yeah.
All right. Now, if you could say the liner for us.
I got you, John. Hey, guys, what's going on? This is University of Florida, Gator Great, Miami Dolphins, Gator Great, Lewis Oliver, and I'm hanging out with John and Sid for All for the Gators podcast. Lock us in, guys.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Love it.
I think that's my favorite one.
Yeah, that's good. Well, Lito's good. Lito said top notch. He called us top notch.
Oh,
but Lewis said my name. Lito didn't say my name.
You guys want a story?
Yes.
With Lito?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's go.
Fall, October 2019. We about 30 of us. We take a couples trip over to Ibiza. We go over to Ibiza for a friend and his wife's birthday, and we're out on this yacht. And when I tell you that water in the Mediterranean is so rough, but I didn't know that until I got in that water. We went out on this giant catamaran that holds about 100 people. It was about 35 of us. And we were out in we anchored out in the water, and I just dove off the boat, and I was like, wow. The minute I hit the water though, John, my body starts moving around in the water as if I was like in a washing machine.
Oh, man.
Like a turbulent washing machine.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, oh, shit, this water is strong. So I'm trying to swim back to the boat, and I put my head down, and I start stroking, and I look up, and I'm not even close to the boat. And I'm trying to swim, and I catch my breath, and I put my head down again, and I'm still not close to the boat. And I'm like, oh, shit, maybe I should scream for help. But I was too embarrassed to scream for help because I did a flip off the boat to show off in front of everybody. So my thought was, as I'm in the water, you can't call for help and you did a flip off of this boat. So I put my head down one last time, and I start swimming, and I get to the back of the boat. And as soon as I grabbed the ladder that was in the water, I see Lito Sheppard. And Lito looked down, and he was like, Big dog, you all right, big dog? And I looked up. I said, Lito, help you go out. He said, Big dog, you about to drown, big dog. You about to drown. And Lito pulled me out of that water, and I was like, Lito, I'm so fucking glad you were here, dog. I was
Oh, Lito's a hero.
He is. Not all heroes wear capes. Shout out to Lito.
Shout out, Lito. I know he's in Jayville right now, so shout out. What's up, Lito?
All right, man. Do you mind if I put that in the episode?
Yeah, can we include that?
No,
Yeah.
drop all of this stuff in it.
Okay, I just want to make sure. All right.
Excellent.
All right,
Thank
cool.
you.
Yeah.
All right, hold on now, unless you got other stories, because I'm going to stop recording.
No.
Yeah, we can do this all day.
Yeah, hey. All right, hold on a minute.
All right, go Gators.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.
This is one of my favorites right here.
This was a good one. I know you get extra excited about Dolphins, but this one was pretty darn good. Like my Dolphin disdain is considerably lower than it was before we started kicking off. Lou is that good. So that was pretty awesome.
Well, man, I feel bad because the listeners didn't get a chance to hear. You know, when we do an interview with a player, we stop the recording at the end, and it has to upload to the server. And, they have to hold on.
We got a little extra
well,
tonight.
the player has to hold on because if they disconnect, we lose the audio, whatever. So,
right.
Louis Oliver's hanging on with us, and we're having some small talk, and we got like 5 or 6 more solid stories.
Good stories.
That our listeners
love it.
Will never have the chance to hear because we weren't recording.
Oh. Super producer should have pressed the button and slipped that in.
I thought about it, but yeah, man, the one where the highly touted cornerback at the state of Florida that came in the same time as him to UF, and of course, Louis Oliver rose from the 6th team cornerback to
that's right
to one of the greatest ever. So I think it was their last year there, and during the game, this guy comes up to Louis Oliver.
Homecoming blowout game.
Yeah, says, "Hey, Louis, Coach told me to tell you to have a seat. I'm going to go in. My parents are here." Louis says, "Well, you know what? Tell Coach I ain't sitting down. I'm going back to playing the game. Tell your parents to go home because you're not playing in the game. Like I said in the orientation, as long as I'm here, none of you are playing." Right. Oh, man.
That's right.
Oh, so good. All right, let's get right to our 2 bits.
Here's my 1.5 bit. Andy missed a good one. You blew it, Andy.
He did.
I hope you're having a good time on your vacation, but you missed a good one. Okay. I actually immensely enjoyed this from beginning to end, but I still get a little tickled where he just casually name drops and like, yeah, so I'm talking to Bill Walsh, and I was like, oh, I'm excited. And then I hang up with him, and then I'm talking to Don Shula. And like, as I said, that's like 2 of the greatest coaches of all time, 5 Super Bowls right there. And I love when our friends of the show tell us about their touches with other greatness from our youth. And gosh, hard to get any bigger. How many Super Bowls between Don Shula and Bill Walsh that they were on the sidelines for? That's pretty amazing. And what a great guy. I really did enjoy that interview a lot.
Yeah. All right, my 2 bits. I'm going to cheat. I think I might have 2. So the first one is, we ask a lot of the players their proudest moment as a Gator or what they're most proud of, and out of all his accolades, UF Hall of Fame, first DB to be a 2-time All-American and everything, he says the friendships he made. That tells a lot about his character, and it was just cool to hear. And then the other 2-bit is something, I like to throw in stuff that we would have never have known. If you haven't listened to this show, there are so many stories that take you, like we say, behind the curtain, little nuggets that you just never have heard before. And tonight, Louis Oliver with his hit on Bo Jackson.
That was good.
And what did he say? Bo indented his shoulder or something?
Yeah. My God, what a physical specimen Bo Jackson was. So
sure.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, that was pretty cool. Wow. To play the Kevin Bacon game with Louis Oliver. Look at the football royalty that he has come across. I love it.
He is.
The Dan Marino stories are pretty excellent too. Yeah. That was pretty great.
Absolutely. Sid, it's been a pleasure once again. This was a good one. Sorry. We don't have more Gator Jets on.
Oh, that's okay. This one was enjoyable. More Gator Jets in the future. Come on to the show, friends of the show.
There's only like 3 of them, so I'm trying to get Marcus May.
Marcus May, we're waiting.
That's all we got. All right, Sid. Go Gators.
Go Gators!